Hi, I'm Elizabeth. I'm an alcoholic. Let's see, what time is it? Thanks, Pete, for asking me to speak. Thanks, Sarah, for making sure I got here. And congratulations on 24 hours. That's awesome. Let's see. My sobriety date is March 8th, 2015. My home group is Tuesday night Big Book Study, where I just became the leader? Secretary. No leader, secretary. And my sponsor is Becca. My sponsor also has a sponsor who I'm close with, and I'm also close with her sponsor. So that's 3 generations of people in AA that I have behind me. Where does it all begin? I had a normal childhood. I can't blame my alcoholism on my parents or on my childhood. Played sports. Did okay in school. I had some learning disabilities that made it hard. Never felt like I was quite good enough in school. I had an older sister who did way better. She's just really smart. Grew up in Georgia, and starting when I was 14, started smoking cigarettes because my mom did it, and my sister was smoking cigarettes, so I started doing that. Drugs are also part of my story, but because it's an AA meeting, I'll keep it to alcohol and other forms of alcohol. But I feel like I definitely drank enough to qualify as an alcoholic, and I have found solution in Alcoholics Anonymous, but I do go to some other non-AA meetings. I had my first drink, though, when I was about 3 years old. My dad had a shot glass of Jack Daniels, and I asked him if it was apple juice, and he said yes. So I took a sip. I made a funny face, and they all laughed. I don't remember it burning. I don't remember it tasting bad. I just remembered I got a reaction that it was funny. Then let's see. Going through high school, I definitely drank a lot on the weekends. It was easier to get other things than alcohol because I wasn't 21 yet. Mid-high school, I had gotten a lot of trouble with my parents, so their solution was to send me up to college where my sister was, and I'd party with her on the weekends, and I didn't need an ID. Then, let's see, I graduated high school, and I asked for a puppy, and my parents got me a horse, and thinking that it would help me have something to focus on besides sports. And it became my higher power. The horse ended up having a baby shortly after we got them, so I had 2, and then she died, so it's back to 1. But I love horses, and unfortunately I made them my higher power. I definitely didn't know God. I went to church on Christmas, and that was about it. In college, I found some Adderall and did that, which also led then to meth. But all along I was drinking. The meth and stuff helped me drink more, which was great. And I would drink and study in groups with people, and we'd drink a jug of wine. But my drinking in college turned from drinking with a group of friends to drinking alone in a bar. Somehow I managed to pass with almost all A's in college. But the problem was that after college, I kept drinking like I was in college. I guess most people get married and have kids, and I didn't do that. I got a DUI in like 2010 in North Carolina. Then I did pretty well. I had quit doing meth, and there was about a 7-year period where I wasn't doing that. But the drinking continued, and I drank in the morning, drank at night. Friends wouldn't drink my water because they knew it wasn't water in my water bottle. It was vodka. I thought I was fooling everybody. But then my dad got sick, and his business kind of went downhill, and I moved up to the mountains of North Georgia to be a trail guide for horseback riding. And I started drinking more then. Thankfully, nothing ever happened. Nobody got hurt on my watch out on the trails. But then that relationship broke off, and I had to move away from that barn, and I decided I'd start a nonprofit for therapeutic horseback riding, and I'd help everybody except for me. So on the outside, it's like, look how great I'm doing, but on the inside, I was crumbling. I ended up getting a DUI. I'm actually paying off that fine now, 4/19 of 2014, which was Saturday before Easter in Georgia. And then 3 months later, I got a DUI again in North Carolina. And then the lawyer that I met for that DUI, we started doing meth together again. It made sense. He was a really good guy in the community. If he could do it, I could do it. But then my drinking got even worse. And I was the type of alcoholic where in the morning, I was drinking one morning, and my friend looked at me with like, "Why are you doing that?" And I was like, "Don't talk to me. I'm an alcoholic. I'm drinking this right now." It was okay for me to call myself an alcoholic, but not to admit it or to come in these rooms and say I'm an alcoholic. The insanity of this disease, towards the end, I was running from my DUIs. I was avoiding court. I was having my lawyers push it back. I kept getting arrested by the State Patrol and North Carolina cops. One lived in my neighborhood, so I would dress up like a dude. I had a big camo jacket. I put leg warmers in it, and I put my hair up in a hat, puffed my cheeks out while I was driving, just thinking they won't notice me. Of course they'll notice me. They know my car. It's a small town. So my parents offered me somehow, I also got a black eye from my friend. And that was a line that I had crossed, and I had drawn in the sand saying I'd never hang around people who would hit me. Well, that had happened. And I told my parents that I slipped and fell, but in a drunken state, I confessed to my sister's husband that I was hit. And that's when my family knew something was wrong. So they did an intervention on me and gave me the option to go to treatment. And I was like, I don't really want to go. I talked to the lady on the phone, and I was like, well, what are your statistics? What's your success rate? She didn't really answer it because it was a new program, but she didn't tell me that. She came back at me with, tell me this, is it always someone else's fault? I wanted to be like, yes, their fault, and it's your fault. But I knew the answer was no, it's my fault. And I knew that was kind of I have a problem if it's everyone else's fault, but I'm the one doing it. So I kind of surrendered a little bit at that point and agreed to go to treatment. I kept asking, how long is treatment? And my mom said, as long as you want to be there. So I packed for 2 weeks. 11.5 months later, I was out in Prescott and finally graduated treatment. I went to a 3.5-month program in North Carolina and then came out here for longer-term care. Treatment was hard, but looking back on it, it was a great experience. But the day-to-day stuff was miserable. The first treatment center I went to, I healed. I detoxed from the drugs and alcohol, and I started healing for the first time. I learned how to meditate. I relearned how to go backpacking and enjoy the woods sober, things that I never thought I could do sober. And then it came time where I needed longer-term care, so I came out here to a program, Canyon Crossing Recovery, which is a really tough women's program. And there, I learned to hold people accountable. I got a sponsor and started doing the steps. So, speaking of the steps, that word God is up there a lot. I didn't like that the first time with my first DUI, so I didn't give this program a chance. I like to think I'm an educated person, so I figured, well, I was against God the first time. Maybe that's the ticket to it this time. And at my first treatment center, there was a guide there who's so happy all the time. And I was like, I want to be happy again. How do I be happy like you? And I asked him, I said, what do you do? He goes, I pray. I said, I don't know how to pray. He goes, that's okay. He goes, all you have to do in the morning is say, hey, I don't know who you are or what you are, but I need your help. I was like, I can do that. And he's like, at the end of the day, get on your knees and say thank you. I was like, thank you for another day sober. And I was like, I can do that too. So that's how I started getting closer to a higher power, which helped a lot. And then I started going through the steps with my sponsor. And one of the things that I really love is the promises. It's, I think, on page 85 in the big book. And when I read that with my sponsor, I was like, I want those things. And today, we just reread it in our my home group. And they come true. And that's what gave me hope, hearing speakers in the beginning talking about how their life is better than before. And that's what I wanted. And I hung on to that hope. And now, 4 years sober, I can say, my life is way better than before. And it's better than I could have imagined. You're going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. I thought, having a good car, having a nice house. Like, that was like what success meant, or even early on in treatment, being a house manager. But it's far beyond that. It's having friends I can rely on, enjoying sunsets and sunrise, and not staying up all night to see the sunrise. Actually, like, getting up early and then going to bed early. Will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. I can look back at my mistakes. I can look back and I can share it with another alcoholic and not be ashamed of it anymore. I was so ashamed when I came into these rooms. I could barely say, "Hi, I'm Elizabeth, I'm an alcoholic." Today, I don't hide it. Some people like their anonymity. I'll tell you, if I meet you on the street, hi, when people ask me, "Why are you in Prescott?" I'm like, "I came here for treatment. I have 4 years sober." All my neighbors know why. I think I told one landlord that I came out here for school. But after that, I've been pretty successful, and it doesn't really matter. I tell people my stories so they know. We'll comprehend the word serenity. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference is sort of, when I hit a situation that's really bothering me, that's kind of like my mantra and my go-to. Serenity, it's meeting calamity with serenity. So the sky is not always falling anymore, but when it does, I'm serene during it. It's like, okay, I can get through this. I have support. I have friends I can call. We'll know peace. Gosh, that's such a great one. Life is simple. It's not hard. I was addicted to like the rush of like having a hard life and things going wrong. Sometimes I can realize when I have something going wrong, I get rushed into it. And it's like, oh, I love that rush. But I'm like okay now with an okay life. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we'll see how our experience can benefit others. I sponsor people. I work with other alcoholics, especially people who went through my treatment or are going through my treatment center. The feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. Sometimes that crops up, but I talked to another alcoholic and they helped me through that. We'll lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. I am not always the center of attention, and I am not that selfish alcoholic anymore. I care about other people, and people care about me, which is great. Self-seeking will slip away. It's not all about me, even though sometimes I want it to be all about me, but it's about us as a success story, and together we help each other succeed. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Geez, the things that I don't get overwhelmed with future tripping. I just take it one day at a time. I hated that saying in the beginning. My dad said, "Elizabeth, just take it one day at a time." And I was like, "Don't you tell me what to do." But now I take it one day at a time. I only have to stay sober for today. Thinking about staying sober for my whole life is like a little overwhelming. So just today I'll stay sober. Fear of people and economic insecurity will leave us. As long as I have a roof over my head, food in my belly, and feet that can walk me around because I can't drive, I'm good. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us, which is amazing. And life was hard when I was drinking. I didn't know how to do life. But now I can do life with help, and I can ask for help. And I think that's also why I have my license suspended for 4 years, is because I'm stubborn and I don't want to ask for help, but I have to ask for help a lot. And then lastly, Promise 12, we will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. At first I thought that was just God would help me not drink, but it's so much more. Just even in my living situation recently, I was at the high end of my budget, and then the opportunity came to move on to property at work, and I didn't want to, but I surrendered to that, and now it's great. It's like God knew what I needed. I don't have to worry about biking uphill anymore to work. I can just walk across property to the office, and I can save up money to buy a car one day. I have 11 months and 3 days until I get my license back, which is amazing. So I'm grateful to be here. I am super grateful for these promises, and I did it one day at a time, so thank you.